Hello my friend, welcome to the Dev Kit. My name is Dev, and this is today's kit. This is my original N64 from when I was a kid. You can kind of tell by that really old Nintendo Power sticker. It's kind of peeling off. That came out of a Nintendo Power issue, because I had a subscription when I was younger. Anyway, Jesus, dusty. I have played it recently, it's just dusty. Nonetheless, today we're talking about the N64 HDMI mod. This is made by the guys over at GameTech US. There's two dudes who do all these various custom mods and custom installations. They do the high def NES, which adds an HDMI port to your NES. They also do, I think it's called the GC Dual, which is an HDMI solution for the GameCube. They also recently released the GBA Consoleizer, which allows you to turn your Game Boy Advance into a console that plugs in a Super Nintendo controller. That's pretty cool too. But we're not talking about any of those today. Today we're talking about the Ultra HDMI, which is their hardware mod for the N64. Unlike the previous videos, there's not much for me to show you. Let's take a look. Here it is. It's literally just a mini HDMI port cut into the plastic right below the AV out. That's it. Everything else is internal. I cannot recommend this mod enough. This is the definitive way to play your N64 nowadays. The picture quality is amazing, sounds great. It's 1080 and it looks great. Here, I'll cut in some comparison footage. One thing of note is that you can't actually run both at once. I tried it and it overloaded my N64. I don't know if it caused some kind of permanent damage, but if I were you, I wouldn't try that. Like if you get two TVs out, run the HDMI, run the AV cable, and then turn the N64 on, it'll give you a really distorted picture for about a second, and then overload, and then you should just turn it off. Wouldn't do that again. So make sure you only have one thing hooked up at a time whenever you run this. However, you know what? It's great. It's a bit expensive though. This ran me, I think, $400 to get done. I think that's more than the N64 was actually worth, even back in the day. Because you have to like buy the mod, then you have to have somebody install it. There's some serious labor that goes on with this thing. However, you know what? Even though it's expensive, if you are a die-hard N64 enthusiast the way that I am, Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games of all time, this is worth it. Especially since a lot of TVs nowadays just won't accept AV cables. And to be honest, I don't really like software solutions, if you know what I mean. Like, this is a hardware solution, alright? The N64 still runs the same game. It still uses the hardware to generate the game from the cartridge. It just outputs it with a hardware solution down an HDMI cord. If you buy like a Retron or some other kind of knockoff console, most of them are software solutions. So what that means is there's generic hardware inside, and it basically runs their own proprietary emulator, just like a PC does. Big problem with emulators is that, well, they don't run games perfectly. You know, especially N64 ones. It really seems like emulators started to crap the bed as soon as we hit the 3D era. They became less and less perfect. Like Super Nintendo is nearly perfect emulation, but even then sometimes it's kind of buggy. Sometimes it doesn't quite run at the best speeds, or at the most authentic speeds. Sometimes things don't look perfect as they were if you were playing on a Super Nintendo. If you run it on actual hardware, that's not a problem. It will play the way it was meant to be played. So in my opinion, if you're going for some kind of modern HDMI out solution, it is much better to mod a console because it will feel authentic. It's a hardware solution. If you get like a Retron or another knockoff console that plays older games, whether it's NES, SNES, N64, PlayStation, whatever. It's a software solution. It's generic hardware running an emulator, and it won't be perfect. That's my biggest problem with, by the way, the NES, the NES Mini, the SNES Mini, the PlayStation Mini. No, or they're called PlayStation Classic, SNES Classic. Yeah, that's what they're called. The SNES, NES, and PlayStation Classics is they're all generic hardware running an emulator. And even worse with that is that you can't choose what games you run on it. They give you a preset. Yeah, I know you can hack it, but the point still stands. It's a software solution, and it introduces some lag. It does. It looks good. It looks really good for a software solution, but it's not. It's not pixel perfect. They introduce some lag into the system, and some games will not run right. So if you want something like this, be prepared to pay for it. But it is, in my opinion, the best HDMI solution for the N64. All right, my friends, I'm out of here. I'll catch you later. I love you.